Calling the meeting to order at 4:30 p.m. Aisquel CM Natsiea, Aina Squalwan, Kuennas E. Limnawa. We respectively acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional and ancestral lands of the Coast Salish people where we live, learn, and play. Our first order of business is the election of the chair of the board for the 2019-2020 year. Once elected, the chair will assume the meeting and call for nominations for vice chair of the board, and following that election, we'll carry on the regular business of the meeting. So prior to calling for nominations, I'm going to ask Karen Blow and Mike Russell to assume the roles of scrutineers in the event that a vote becomes necessary. Nominations are now in order for the position of chair of the board. Yes?
Nominate Candace Spilsbury as chair.
Does Trustee Spilsbury accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Calling a second time for nominations for position of chair of the board. Calling the third time for nominations for position of chair of the board. And hearing no further nominations for position of chair of the board, the nominations are now closed. Candace Spilsbury is chair of the board.
Just one moment while we get a chair for me.
Chair is chairless.
Chair is chairless, yeah. Thank you. So we're on item 3, which is election of vice chair. Trustee Thorne.
I would like to nominate trustee who sits gracefully beside me.
Gracefully. Randy. So,
He doesn't sit graceful.
so graceful trustee DeGroot, would you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, second call for vice chair. Third call for nominations for vice chair. And final call for nominations of vice chair. Okay. Congratulations, Trustee DeGroot, vice chair of the board. Okay, and we can not do any ballot destroying because we have no need to do that. So moving to item 5, adoption of the agenda. Moved by Trustee DeGroot, seconded by Trustee Doman. All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to the minutes. September 26, 2019. A motion to adopt the minutes. Moved by Trustee Doman, seconded by Trustee Thorne. All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to minutes of October the 1st. Looking for a motion to adopt the minutes. Moved by Trustee Thorne, seconded by Trustee DeGroot. All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to recognition and delegations. And the first is recognition of Larry Matten, District Principal of Careers and Career Education staff. So I have a few things to say. The Board of Education would like to recognize Larry Matten for his great leadership in the work of our Careers Department. Here today are Larry Matten, Ryan Gott, Ron Glass is to a career, right?
It's 2 minutes out, but yeah.
Oh, 2 minutes out is Ron Glass, Dan Norman, and Alita Matten. Our Careers Department has had many successes, but most recently has been recognized by the Industry Training Authority, ITA, as a leader in building partnerships with industry, enabling students to engage in life-changing employment opportunities. Last year, Cowichan Valley School District saw another increase in enrollments across the board, and especially in youth apprenticeships. For the 2018-19 school year, Cowichan Careers included all of the same people I've mentioned, plus Craig Lawrenson, registered 97 new youth apprentices with the ITA, which is an amazing number because I remember it was very, very low. Last year, Cowichan Valley's careers team registered more youth apprentices than any other district in the province. It's quite a feat. In addition to our career staff, community partners, industry, and school-based career staff, they have all contributed to the success of careers in our community. We would also like to thank our local businesses who have taken on our youth as apprentices. There are a few employers, however, who year after year have continued to open their doors and mentor many of our young apprentices, including Just Jakes, the Manhattan Nation, Pacific Energy, Duncan Butcher, United Brotherhood of Carpenters, Local 1598, the Oak Neighborhood Pub, the Sawmill Tap House and Grill, Island Haircutting, IBEW Local 230, Bridgman's Bistro, Bridge Systems, Wormland Hospitality, which is Captain Golf Course, Villa Airy, Unsworth Vineyards, the Old Fork, Sherwood House, Profab Manufacturing Limited, Paris Styling Group, Pacific Plumbing and Heating, and Nykirk Contracting. That's quite a list of businesses that are looking after our kids and helping us educate. A big thank you again to all of our employers who support our youth, and thank you to our careers team for supporting so many of our youth on their path to becoming Red Seal tradespeople. We are proud of the work that you do and your dedication to our students. And I've asked Trustee Croft, who is our careers liaison for us, to present each of you a wonderful gift. Oh, and I have a card. All right, card first.
Card delivery.
Okay, we won't make you read it before you accept it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Pleasure, and how are your eggs?
you. Both are excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that.
Thank you for such awesome work. Thank you. Our kids so much.
Help me on the wrong group.
Yes, one for Craig.
Wait,
Okay.
perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, any comments that you'd like to make?
You covered it very well. Well, a big thank you. The community's been really stepping up to support our youth. We've had tremendous successes, but the successes is not just thanks to this team. They've been doing a tremendous job at the community as well as the career teachers that are out in the schools. If we brought the whole team here, that whole team would fill this room. So there's a lot of people helping out throughout our community. So we're going to work real hard to try to keep those numbers high. But we've got a great team here that's doing an incredible job. So thank you for the appreciation. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, moving to item B, Shemaines Crofton Community Schools Association. And please, if you could come to the back of the table so we can see you.
Can I go one that Yeah, you can start.
So we have a little PowerPoint presentation for you guys to take a look-see at. So you'll just have to forgive me for a second, and I will attempt to get it going here. And I might need some assistance. So it's supposed to come up with the number, but I'm not seeing it.
It will, it takes a bit of time.
Yeah. Oh, it's this one right here, right? And then SBO boardroom, and the code is 6809. 6809.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So we're from Shemaines. So we're the Shemaines Crofton Community Schools Association. My name is Laura White.
And I'm Jasmine Bears.
And we are co-chairs of our board from Shemaines. So we're just coming to you today to sort of just do a little reintroduction of who we are and what we've been doing, and sort of follow out in Shemaines, a little, the northern part of our area. So we just want to come and chat with you briefly about who we are and what we've been up to.
So my name is Jasmine Bears, and I'm the board co-chair for the CCSA, the Shemaines Crofton Community Schools Association. And I've been involved formally for the past 4 years. but I've been taking advantage of the programs, such as Strong Start and the Eagle Wings preschool since my daughter was 3. She's now 9 and in grade 4 at Chemainus Elementary Community School. And my son, who will be 5 in December, spent 2 years at Eagle Wings preschool, and he just started kindergarten this past September. So over the last 2 years, we've had several task forces working together to address some of the goals of the CCSA as we move forward. These task forces focused on 3 areas: promotion of the CCSA and its programs within the community, current and future land use, and the development of a 5-year strategic plan of redefining, rethinking our vision statement and our goals for the direction of the organization. The purpose of these has been to examine our sustainability and to ensure that our organization is continuing to be guided by the needs, hopes, and wants, and the vulnerabilities of our community and its children. The role of the board is to reinforce, represent, and support these ideas. Thanks to the task force that worked on the 5-year strategic plan, we now have a clearly defined mission, vision, and set of values, as well as a detailed outline of our goals and objectives. Moving forward, the goal is to continue to build on the work that has been done by the task forces to increase awareness within the community and to work on defining and growing our relationship and communication with the school district.
So as you can see, we sort of partner with you, and these are some of the programs that we offer in our community working with the Chemainus Community School. So we do summer camps. We have a breakfast club that feeds our students in the morning, and they come and they sign up. We have after-school care programs in Crofton, and those are licensed care programs in Crofton, so parents can get subsidies in order to help them pay for those. We have our Eagle Wings preschool program. We do Strong Start. We do Mother Goose programming, so we go out into the community with our Mother Goose program, and we offer training for people who want to be a part of that. Roots of Empathy, our Rainbow program. We do an inspiration station, which we bring out into the community. Sometimes you can see us. We were just at the fall fair, and we take recycled bits of things, and children come in and they make art with recycled materials. We have a community garden at Chemainus, and we invite the community in to have a garden box. Lots of the children from the elementary school participate in that. We have a librarian and a teacher at the school who has chickens there. We offer Triple P parenting programs and also lots of different other programs for parents in our community. And yeah, so we're trying to be a part of our community out in Chemainus where we can offer licensed childcare. So we do that in the summer, and then with our after-school camps, we're looking into before and after care, maintenance of our school spaces, and then the creation of new spaces within our community. And these are some of the things that some of our kids say about us. So they like what we do. And then these are just some of the other hidden gems that the CCSA supports. So we do lots of different collaborations, like I just I mentioned, and then also we do lots of volunteer paid work experience as well. So we bring students in from the high school in the summer to help with our summer camps, and we also partner with Vancouver Island University students for their practicum component requirements. There it is. And then our St. Michael's All Angels Church is sort of our version of Nourish Cowichan. So they come in and they volunteer. We call them grandees, and they're volunteer people that come in 5 days a week every morning to our CCSA portable, and we make breakfast for students, and it's a free program, and they come and they sign up, they have breakfast, and they go to school. Did you want to have anything to say?
I think why we included this was to show how important it is to have, with a community school, that we have all of these collaborations with the community itself. So we get together with students, with the grandees, and it's just a way to make the school part of the community and vice versa.
And we also, with our Artists in the Classroom pottery program, so we have a kiln in our building as well. So we bring in art programs for the students at Shemanis Elementary, and they come and they get to participate in all these extra art programs. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah, so we're always working to improve. We're always working to improve our communication. That's why we're here. So we want to let everybody know what we're doing, what we're about. As a board, we've gained more support in our community. We've got more board members, and we're really getting out there to sort of promote all the wonderful things that we're doing with our resources and working within other community organizations to do that outreach, that community outreach that's so important within our community in North Cowichan. And this is with our goal with our strategic plan. Again, we're just, growing connections, awareness, and with our relationships in our community. And we just wanted to come and thank you and say that it's an honor to work with our schools and serve our children with your support. And thank you for having us today. We are the CCSA.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from trustees? I can comment on behalf of the board. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We have an idea sort of prior to this of what you did and who you were and all that kind of thing, but not the extent of it. So I appreciate you being here, and I know that the community is very thankful for all of the work that you do around the children. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, we're moving to item C, which is Mr. McDowell. Would you like to come forward and talk about dyslexia?
Well, you've probably heard that I have been working for about 30 years on the Convention of the Rights of the Child.
Yes.
And now, actually, there's no excuse for you not to read it. But my own time and my own money, you just want to handle it totally around. Yeah, there might be some left over because there's a few people not here. I don't know if Robin wants one. She's welcome to it. I have 11 there, so there's 7 trustees and things. And I have my card on there too, which gives you the history of the Convention of the Rights of the Child. That was written by Eglantine Jebb when she came back from the First World War to England. And it was passed by the League of Nations in 24 and moved up the scale. It's a very, very important document. I've given it to 2 friends that read like the wind, both of them, and one's way to the left and the other's way to the right. And I asked both of them to tell me if there was anything wrong with it. Well, the one to the right did come up with something. He says, it has no T. Now this document, as you see on the card, was signed by 195 countries in the United Nations. So it's kind of important. And if you can find anything wrong with any of those 54 articles, let me know. The only thing in that thing that you will find that's not directly from there is the Canadians were delayed from signing it because they had to make statements regarding First Nations. United Nations knows, but most Canadians don't know that reserves and non-surveyed land is not part of Canada. I have the friend to the right, he's made a fortune. He can write you a check for $1 million. And I says, well, who gave you the permit? Or I says, you stole the land from the logs from the Indians. He says, no, I had a permit. What reserve or what tribe gave him the permit? Canada does not really have the right to give permits on what they call crown land, which isn't crown land, to people that are not to mine and log. The other thing is, you see on my card, I'm printing out a new card, and it will have that I am going to be an independent candidate in the next provincial election. It cost me $1,600 for an ad in the paper to run for the school board. This only cost me $250, and it's a bigger platform. I do not believe that any teacher, any school should not have a copy of the Convention of the Rights of the Child. I've only heard it one time. I was talking to a guy in the community center handing out flyers, and I says, it should be alongside of the Declaration of Human Rights. Oh, he says, I've seen it. I said, where? In New York. I said, in New York? Yes, he says, in the United Nations building, right next to the Declaration of Human Rights. And we're not looking at it. If you can find one clause in there that you don't think is right, it doesn't, I've had teachers say, well, you can't slap a kid or something. It has nothing to do with that. Simple fact. They have a right to food. They have a right to health care. They had a right to shelter. And that's the type of things they have the right to. Now, I am very, very inspired by the kids around the world that are starting to march. They know that if we don't look after the natural resources, we're done. It's that simple. We haven't decent air to breathe and decent water to drink and decent food to eat, we're gone. And it's time that the people that are supposedly governing the country don't realize that. My daughter told me I was born to raise hell, and I think I am. Because to me, if we don't look after nature and we don't look after children, I'm sorry, the human race is not going to be around too long. Any questions? If you could find some.
Any comments or questions for trustees? Okay, I guess not. But we thank you for bringing this to our attention
Well, I
again.
did want you to know about it.
Yes,
And I didn't want you to hear by the grapevine that I'm running in the next provincial election.
okay,
I've got
thank you.
everything ready to go, because it's pretty precarious. One or two people drop out and say, the legislature, provincial legislature, and we have an election, and I'm ready for it.
Well, good luck to you.
Yeah.
We do
And there's
need
not many of you
stand up.
are anywhere near my age. In 3 months, I'll be 87. And I will tell my doctor believes me when I told her that I'm going to live to be over 100. Damn few people die after 100. But anyway, you have no excuse not to read those 54 articles and the section that is part of Canada's version. I could not get that on the internet because I don't have a CRC number. I got it from Bob Rigma, and got it from him, and I also got it from Crowther. Now I went on to get it. Now you have to have a CRC number. They don't want you to look it up unless you're somebody, but you can get the United Nations thing, and the back is about the Native people. So basically, I hope you all consider that the children are our future, and they're starting to rise up, and I'm fully behind it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 8, report of closed meeting. Mr. Sandquist, please.
Thank you. The board met in closed session just prior to our open meeting tonight, and we discussed multiple property and personnel issues.
Thank you. Moving to old business action list on page 14. Any comments from staff? Madam Gray.
I would like to just comment on the childcare spaces related to our progress. Presently, right now, we are in the design phase in terms of developing the childcare spaces and also working with our nonprofit organizations related to some of the furniture and resources that they may need within those spaces.
Thank you. Do you want to comment on legacy wall as well?
I can talk about the legacy wall. The team has met. We have selected the wall, the location that we will be looking at establishing that legacy wall. Currently, we have a clean photo up there that we want to maybe modernize and maybe complement it with a better frame and better style related to our own photograph of the board of trustees here today. And then we'll be looking at maybe unveiling that in the future. So we've made some progress.
Thank you. I would just comment on the first item on the list. We have a tentative date with the Nyaxon First Nation to meet with them, as we have done in the past when they have their regular Chief and Council meetings on December the 17th at 6:30 p.m. And we have a delegation time, but they have in the past given us as much time as we wanted to talk about education of Indigenous children in our schools. Superintendent?
Just to comment on our flagpoles, we have made some progress. Currently, we will be working with all of our First Nations communities with regard to whether they have a flag and or not, and whether they would like to actually hang a flag and would allow us to actually hang that flag. So as we work toward meeting with our leadership, we will be asking these questions and have a better idea of how many flagpoles we will need in the near future.
Thank you. Any further questions from trustees or comments? Okay, moving back to the agenda. Chair of the board, and the first thing is the chair's meeting that I attended in mid-October. I just say that the day began with a question time for chairs to ask the BCSTA Board of Directors any questions. It was a lively time with questions related to the funding model review, the framework for enhancing student learning, and the protocol with UPCM. There were several speakers at the day. The first was Dr. Jennifer Charlesworth, the BC representative for children and families. Some of her key statements were that she has 72 staff. There are 6,700 kids in care in the province. Their orientation is to lift them up, not take something away. And her number one request of the government is to provide school districts money to directly support children in care. The second presentation was from a social media consultant who addressed tips regarding dealing with social media by board chairs. And it was recommended, if it is a question, answer it. If it is misinformation, correct it. If it is a complaint, fix it. And if it's a rant, ignore it. So it's kind of common sense, but she was very engaging. The third presentation was from Keith Godin, who's one of the assistant deputy ministers for the ministry. He presented on the framework for enhancing student learning. He began with two questions. One, as a sector, are we achieving what we set out to do? He stated we have full autonomy on our strategic plan and our goals. And his second question, how can we work together better on continually improving student outcomes and the life chances for every child? The framework, he says, has key elements: a system-wide focus on common values, a multi-year district and school planning, meaningful and effective evidence, system-wide capacity building, and student agency or voice. And all is to be aligned, and all to also be improving local Indigenous outcomes and representing a full commitment to reconciliation. Any questions on BCSDA Board Chairs Day. Okay, moving to partner liaison meeting, and we attended together. So the partnership was the superintendent, secretary, treasurer, and board chair with the Ministry of Education and BCSDA. So the liaison meeting started with Stephanie Higginson, who's our president from BCSDA, and Minister Rob Fleming speaking in general terms. Then Scott McDonald, the deputy minister, talked about their current priorities that were listed as erase expansion, $6 billion in funding to school districts, $2.7 billion in capital funding, attention to children in care, that provincially we have 15% of non-graduating students. Indigenous students and new Canadians are also key priorities. We saw 3 videos from the Excellence in Education Awards, and BCPVA representatives showed us the Professional Growth Plan technical model for administrators, which had a link to school plans. And then 3 superintendents talked about their work on the framework for enhancing student learning. So lots of content there, not much discussion. And then the 2 key areas that we did was funding model review with Reg Bawa. Equity was mentioned continuously, as well as the ministry is continuing to work on headcount and extra resources versus FTE, a prevalence model, funding projections, capacity building, and the classroom enhancement fund. He stated that they will try to get out information prior to March 15th, 2020, and the news was very direct that we are going for a different funding model for next year's budget, which is going to be very fast in terms of us receiving the information, trying to grapple with it, and then budgeting. The second long time presentation was Keith Godin, presented on the framework for enhancing student learning, which is similar to the day before and I've already described. Okay, the next is the visit by the Honourable Judy Darcy, Minister of Mental Health and Addictions. So the minister came to visit the community, and the school district ended up hosting that meeting on October 16th. All 3 of us were already in Vancouver, so we did have other staff who represented us at the meeting. Judy Dorsey was also accompanied by her assistant, and in attendance was the MLA Sonia Firstino and her constituency assistant, Mayor Michelle Staples from the city of Duncan, and a rep from Cowichan Tribes, as well as Dr. Shannon Waters, our local medical health officer. Our staff who were there was Tom Longridge, our Associate Superintendent, Richard Dybel, our Director of Operations, and Kelly Kinghorn, our Manager of Health and Safety. The meeting lasted about 30 minutes, which was longer than originally scheduled. Minister Darcy asked questions regarding how School District 79 addresses the topic of mental health with students, and got a lot of information on how we are approaching that. It is clear that we have a comprehensive plan, which has a number of programs inside of it, particularly introduced over the past year that cover kindergarten through grade 12. For example, we have CALM for kindergarten primary, EASE for intermediate grades, and GO-TO for middle and secondary age students. We've also undertaken a training program available to all staff and students on mental health literacy. The school district, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, is currently piloting a program on trauma-informed practice for teachers and staff, and the minister was also informed that the grant provided by the Ministry of Education to support mental health initiatives was most welcome, and helped with the startup of some of our district work. Minister Darcy then asked about the impact of drug use and addictions on our school community, and information was shared regarding the situation, especially related to this corridor and these schools. Subsequently, the community leadership, with input from the Community Action Team, or CAT, has created a proposal to have a pilot program in Cowichan Valley to address community mental health and drug addictions, and has submitted the proposal to the minister. Any questions? Comments? Okay, Premier's Awards in Excellence in Education. Our superintendent and I attended an evening in Victoria at the Governor's House, Lieutenant Governor's House. And in attendance was Premier Horgan, Rob Fleming, our Minister of Education, and Lieutenant Governor Janet Austin. It was an extremely beautiful environment and a wonderful celebration. The awards recognized and honored teachers, principals, vice principals, administrators, and support staff in the K-12 education system who made outstanding contributions to their school communities and to the lives of their students. The event celebrated the accomplishments of the 10 winners in the following award categories: community engagement, district leadership, extracurricular leadership, Indigenous education, outstanding new teacher, outstanding support teaching assistant, outstanding support school community, school leadership, social equity and diversity, technology and innovation. And it's my hope that our school district will be involved with candidates next year. Any comments, questions? Okay, that's my report for the month. All right, moving to, oh, it's not quite my report. Okay, moving to board action. One of the things that we received at the Vista meeting was a copy of Campbell River's logo. I'm not sure how many copies I have there. And if you look at the middle of the page, you'll notice the message that they are trying to convey with this logo. As you know, Campbell River is the salmon capital of the world, so it's in the shape of the salmon, but also it's trying to represent the importance of children in it, and there is all kinds of First Nation understandings of how the salmon or the school district is surrounding and supporting the children. So we have talked sort of informally about a school district logo for many years, and it seems to me it's time for us to put that in board motion so that we can have a representative visual of our school district that recognizes the relationship with the Indigenous people and contributes to reconciliation. So, is there anyone who would like to put that into a motion? Trustee Thorne.
I'd like to make that motion, that we have someone in our school district put something together so we have our own logo.
Thank you. Moved by Trustee Thorpe, seconded by Trustee DeGroot. Any comments, questions? All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to item 11, Superintendent of Schools. Ms. Gray.
Okay, moving to 1.2.1 enrollment report. In your package, you'll have the enrollment report, and now it has been completely finalized. Just starting with the total elementary enrollments.
It's not in the package.
I'm so sorry. My apologies. All right, then I will just report it out verbally. So at the elementary level, our actual numbers for September 2019 would be 4,880 elementary students. Our secondary students would be 2,764 students, for a total of school-age children of 8,144 students overall. So that we've had a bit of growth over last year, and that would be a total of school-age children of 83 school-age children. But because we also have a total enrollment of our adult learners in there as well, the growth is only over 77 from last year. Now, because of our great staff and the work that Karen Blow and Jason Santos do, our projection was almost bang on. We are only 10 students or FTE over our projection. So,
Well done.
any questions on that?
Would we be able to get copies?
Certainly,
later?
we'll make sure that we get copies for all.
Yes, thank you. Any further questions? Thank you.
Thank you, and moving on to 11.22, the strategic planning update. We have an invitation going to all of our community partners with regard to an engagement session in terms of hearing their voice and adding input into our strategic planning process. This will happen this Thursday at Quamachin School from 5:30 to 7. And we'll be adding in their input, and our next steps will be looking forward to creating that visionary document overall and hearing the voices from our community as well as our students and our parents and our staff so that we can finalize our vision and basically our roadmap for the next 4 years. I'm looking forward to doing that this Thursday. So we're hopeful that we might have anywhere between 30 to 50 people joining us on that evening.
Trustee Crowe.
So, we're talking about community partners, so is that sort of like organizations for the most part at this, and then eventually though will be public
Yes.
consultations as well? Okay.
Well, this would be our community engagement. We invited all of our partners across the school district, everyone from our leadership at our city level, from some of our major partners, BHA, and so we would have had an invitation list of over probably up to 100 people. Okay, and then our last act around engagement will be looking at sending those 3 questions out to our entire community in case we missed anyone or somebody who would like to actually add their voice to their input during that time.
Okay.
Moving on to 11.2.3, Foundation Skills Assessment. Our schools have been hard at work administering the FSA in the schools from September the 30th to November the 8th. Those assessments will be coming to the board office on November the 8th to prepare for marking. And so that marking will occur on Monday, November the 18th after school. Those scores will be entered and sent to the ministry, and they will be delivered back to the schools on December the 2nd through the 6th so that parents can receive the results of the FSA. Principals would have sent home a letter outlining the district's view of the Foundation Skills Assessment under each school's letterhead, as well as Deputy Minister Scott McDonald. He prepared a letter for all of the schools to send to their parents with regard to the importance of encouraging parents to have their students write the Foundation Skills Assessment. And here in this district, we have allowed teachers to combine the reading and the writing booklet portion of the FSA and district reading and writing assessments to support teachers and to try to increase our participation rates overall around the Foundation Skills Assessment. So that's a bit of our update. So questions on that? All right, and then moving on, I think if I could ask Claire just to put our Ignite and Bite on November the 27th at Quamachin School. We will be again, this is our second dinner series where we offer all of these workshops to all of our staff across the district, along with some of our partner groups that we also invite. You can see that Choose Your Own Adventure, so these are some of the topics. We have Indigenous pedagogy, and Indigenous perspectives for all. We have 2 of those workshops. We recognize that at our last session, we only had 1 session that was sold out very quickly. We also have a core French and FSL learning session, And then also build with your class a holiday tree-shaped tea light holder. And I think that comes from our careers folks as well, leading that workshop. And then building a thinking classroom around mathematics, and then also introducing the early learning framework for all of our Strong Start to grade 3 educators. And then lastly, an introduction to cloud tools, Office 365 desktop and iPad for all. So again, our second series, and we'll be having a third and a fourth for the next rest of the school year. And if you get a chance, please join us. I think it's a great session, and it runs from 4 to 5:30, and then we have a fabulous dinner that we share together. And then moving on to our non-instructional day, November the 29th, which occurs right after that. So the same week, a lot of learning that will be occurring in the school district. We have been working with all of our partner groups, our teachers, union representatives, our coordinators, our our principals as well, and vice principals, coming all together to plan the day. And so in the morning, we have a keynote, Monique Grace Smith, and she will be sharing Weaving Love and Joy in the Truth and Reconciliation Journey. And this will be for all of our staff and personnel across the school district from 8:30 to 10 o'clock. And then afterwards, in the mid-morning, all of the staffs will get together and they will work toward a lesson plan in debriefing that session, asking some good questions, and working with their specific staff around the presentation that occurred so that we can go a little bit deeper after the keynote. And then in the afternoon, we will have a number of sessions around choices for all of our staff around curriculum, inclusion, mental health, and Indigenous education. And those are our main core themes overall around all of our learning that will consistently happen throughout the school year. So I'd like to congratulate the staff who put many hours to organize this, and the collaboration that we did all together to make this, I'm sure, a resounding success of learning on that particular day.
Thank you. Trustee Crowe.
Sorry to be so detailed. So one can register for this event and for Ignite and Bite on the school district website. I just don't see it.
That we send
Is
out,
that coming?
it's coming,
Okay.
and I'm certain that if you would like to come, you won't have to register officially in that capacity at all, but you're certainly welcome to come. But all of our staff they'd be able to register online. And so the Ignite and Bite opens earlier, and for this non-instructional day, it will open a little bit later so that people recognize the difference.
Exciting times, party times. Yes, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, and then moving on to 11.2.6, I just want to inform the board that we used to have the Cowichan District Teachers Association, but they have now moved their name to the Cowichan Valley Teachers Union. And so that has been officially done, and so now we will refer to our great friends, the CVTU, and use that acronym, or in full, Cowichan Valley Teachers Union. Just want to make sure that everyone was aware of that. And then, without any other questions, I will move on to more of what the superintendent's been doing the last month, and so this is a bit of my update. So firstly, I was able to visit a number of schools in the month of October. I was able to get to Chemainus Elementary, Crofton Elementary, Chemainus Secondary, Alex Aitken, and that was the moment where we got to go and deliver all the beautiful chocolates to celebrate World Teachers' Day. But in addition to that, I was able to spend a bit of time at Maple Bay as well as Cletus Island, and that was a very joyful experience. And I think that, you know, whenever you might be a little bit down and out, all you have to do is go to the school and spend a little bit of time with a few kids and a few teachers and a few EAs, and all of a sudden it's a joyful day. And I'd have to say that just going over to Cletus Island was a great experience. Just to take the ferry and go speak with the teacher and the EA and see the children there was just a lovely time. And I know that there's children there from kindergarten all the way to grade 6 this year, And so it's quite a unique experience, and so I had a great day going to visit that school. When I do go out to schools, I like to go visit classrooms, I like to talk to the teachers, I like to see what's going on and see the experiences that the kids are having while I'm there. The next event that occurred, not in order by any means, but we had Drop Everything and Read. It was a district initiative, so across this district on October the 28th, everyone, I'm assuming even the Secretary of Treasurer's office at 9 a.m., we were all reading, as well as in finance, that we were all taking that opportunity to read for 20 minutes with kids or even ourselves, so that we honored the work that's happening there around literacy.
Just a comment, I want to say thank you because all the trustees were invited to participate this year, and I don't know if I missed it, but I think that was the first time we were in that program, so looking forward to next year. Thank you.
Well, and I would have to say that we need to acknowledge Sherry Kinney, our coordinator for the District Learning Center. She certainly put that together and led that charge and made sure that we were all involved.
Can I just say that we have been invited in the past as well, so.
Well, this
So
year
it's
was
been
just
good.
a little better.
Yes.
I think there was some,
Few of us
people were excited about it. I think there was certainly a movement toward that, so we were all putting our best foot forward. On October the 18th and 19th, our Vancouver Island Learning Network, the ADST Coding and Computational Thinking, this event occurred in Nanaimo. There were 120 participants, 14 school districts, all learning about design thinking, computational thinking, creativity, and coding. 31 teachers, 4 principals and vice principals, and 3 student teachers attended from Cowichan Valley. So that growth is incredible, and so I want to congratulate all the staff who actually invested in that, and we do know that this is some of the most important learning that needs to occur around our learning system overall. I also had the great fortune on October the 5th to go on the Yayamnuts tour, where I got to join the Cowichan Secondary Indigenous Studies class, where we got to hear from Brian Tom, from UVic, and also a Cowichan Tribes member who led us on that tour. I would have to say that I was very grateful to be given that opportunity to really see what's there. And I think that because of their leadership and their commentary, it really helped anybody who was there to understand the importance of that sacred area and the numbers of generations that actually lived and learned and played in that particular area. So that was a great opportunity on October the 5th. And then moving along, on October the 17th, we had the Great BC Shakeout Drill, where many of our schools participated throughout the school district in that Great BC Shakeout. So I wanted to really put a shout out to all of our schools who actually invested their time and worked through that process to keep all of our learners safe out there. And then just 2 more items. We got to I got to join the jointly convened annual meeting that was held in Vancouver on October the 16th. This is where the ministry invited the superintendent along with any Indigenous leaders or coordinators to the event, where First Nations Education Steering Committee joined up with the ministry to talk about the BC Tripartite Education Agreement. And so I'm pleased to say that we had 2 representatives from this district. Charlene Crocker from Penelakut joined us, as well as Stephanie Atleo from Cowichan Tribes. Sorry. I'm sorry, Candace. Thank you very much. Candace Crocker, thank you, from Penelakut. Thank you, Mary. And Stephanie Atleo from Cowichan Tribes. And say that they joined us. I felt like we were greatly represented at that event. So very pleased that we were able to go on that day and hear more about that initiative. And then just lastly, we had a group of our school representatives go to the Deeper Learning Dozen that was held in Vermont from October the 2nd through the 4th. And that was our convening, joining all of our other 11 school districts that are part of that initiative with Harvard. Again, we had two principals that we sent along with our senior team, Nicole Boucher as well as Darcy Hoff. They attended as well. And so they led all of our principals and vice principals in that learning last week to hear more about the deeper learning initiatives and learning, which was really focused around equity and our deeper learning principles and outcomes. And so the expectation would be that when they go and then we meet with our principals and vice principals, and we went through that learning session just last week. And I'm very pleased to say that we had about 50 people in attendance to really learn from the work around Harvard. So it was a great event. I think that is my report. Sydney?
You're not busy enough.
Not enough.
This district is really moving. Thank you so much. Okay, moving to item 12, Secretary Treasurer, no report, or?
I have no report, but I am busy.
Oh my God. I'm gonna regret that statement. Okay. And thank you for that. Okay, moving to committees and outside organizations. First, DPAC on October 9th, Trustee DeGroot. DSAC?
DSAC.
Motion
to receive the highlights.
Moved by Trustee DeGroot, seconded by Trustee Croft. All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to Vista report, and just very briefly to draw your attention to the Mike Downey story on Cheney Wenjack, which is such a haunting feature for us. And I did buy the book. The words in here, I'll pass it around, by Gord Downey don't look all that impressive. It doesn't sound, when you read it, it impacts, but not to the extent of when you hear the music with it. It's very dramatic, and the pictures tell the story just by visually. It's very impacting. And I was also very impacted with Mike Downey's view of reconciliation. And I'd always wondered, path to reconciliation, but in my mind it was always to where, to what. And it really rung home for me that it was reconciliation toward a new way, a new Canada. And I was really stunned by that. The other piece that we were given, and I put this on the table for most of you, was the strategic plan from Campbell River. They had just completed it, and so it's I think really interesting to see how another school district is devising and then communicating their plan. So the other things that we saw, there was a great presentation on MDI, which is like the EDI, the early learning. They use the middle instrument as their evidence base around determining how they should work for children, and particularly in the social emotional area. So I'm thinking that we maybe want to consider MDI in the future, not now, but at times. And they also talked about childcare and how they're trying to wrestle their district around that, because it is all wonderful. Everybody wants those programs in place, but the financial implications are huge. So it'll be interesting to see how that can move forward in school districts. So I'd like to ask for receipt of the Vista report by Trustee Croft, seconded by Trustee Thorne. All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to the Provincial Council report, Trustee DeGroot.
I actually sent everyone the report, these pages. I think the highlights were the discussion around the framework for enhancing student learning and accountability. The motions that were passed, one on international education, which doesn't affect us because we're covered by a different plan. But the other two that I thought were really important was one around learning and one that looking at the model funding review and asking that we have some kind of a chance to try that process out before it plunked down on us. I think those are the two most important things. There's concern around the province that here's your new model, make it work, and we're not being given time to see how it might work as far as the funding goes. So those are the three things I guess that I found really important. And I did send everyone a copy of my report. So.
Thank you. Any questions of Trustee DeGroot? Moving to Indigenous Education Committee by Trustee Thorne.
We met in Vancouver with the Indigenous Education Committee, and it was very interesting. We realized that there were three key components that we had to work on: leadership, relationship, and advocacy. We talked about people who should be involved but weren't involved to fill in the gaps, that being Finesse Union of BC Chiefs, this First Nations Summit, as well as the Métis Nations. We talked about leadership in our youth, involved families. All in all, we put together a report that you all should have, that I think is worth a read. I did leave a copy for Mary. I hope you got it. And this was some really stressful and honest talk that was much needed. I see a lot of good things coming. I'm very, very proud to be a part of it. Talking about LEAs and how key it is. Assessments you'd mentioned earlier. I realized that we must encourage a lot of the nations to participate. Looking at Finesse data versus our data, I found that there were two different kinds. I wanted to start meshing them, which is why I suggested that we reach out and create an MOU with Finesse Union of BC Chiefs, First Nations Summit, and the Métis Nations. So all in all, we had come down to the four call-up questions that we'll be presenting at the AGM. And if you haven't seen it, we looked at mental health, we looked at children in care, we looked at every door that we felt needed to be opened. We talked mostly about the Aboriginal support workers and how they're not being used properly. And we need to strengthen a lot of things. We talked about Indigenous language, and I was kind of upset over some things. The difference in what we get for First Nations language versus French, Spanish, and all the other languages was a bit upsetting. So I've got a lot that I want to talk about with these guys. There is going to be a provincial report. They'll be going to BC. I will be at probably the one here in Vancouver, and I'm looking forward to that. But all along, it was a great time. My very first time meeting the faces, as opposed to the telephones. It was great, and I'm really honored that this district has that seat for the first time. It was created for me, and I couldn't believe it. There was a lot of great people meeting, conference calls with people back east, the ministers and stuff. Finesse. I didn't realize how broad this was. I'm learning, so you'll have to bear with me. But one thing that I left that table with, I left them a message that we must look at all children. In order for this to be successful, all children have to be at par. When they start school, they're friends. I'd like to see them graduate as friends, regardless of race, creed, national origin, however that goes. I was really impressed.
Great, thank you. Any questions of Trustee Thorne? Okay, moving to Vaping Committee, and the minutes of the last minute meeting are attached there. I would just say that DPAC is also involved, but we're unable to be at the meeting. So it was a good meeting, there is some action planned, and we have a meeting in December. Any questions for the vaping committee? Okay, moving to upcoming meetings and events. On page 23, I just note that the vaping committee meeting at the end there, the date and time is December 13th at 1 p.m. Any other comments on the schedule? Okay, moving to School Remembrance Day assemblies, and the list is there for everyone. And also the school winter events and activities are also listed, and of course we as liaisons to some of the schools try to attend as many of the events as possible. Any questions on the events? And I ask the superintendent to thank her EA, Tracy Jones, for coordinating the list of events for us. That's no small task, I'm sure. Thank you. Okay, moving to correspondence. The first is the letter from MLA Stone regarding surging youth vaping rates. And one thing we know is our situation is exactly the same as other school districts. Comments on the letter? Trustee DeGroot?
It's not a comment, but I would like to make a motion that the College Board of Education write a letter to Adrian Dix, Minister of Health, with copies going to our MLAs, asking that the ministry, 1, make resources for youth on vape health implications and vape cessation available to school districts, revise current resources and services for smoking cessation to specifically include vaping and youth, update the language legislating vaping product ads, promotion and sponsorship to align with current tobacco legislation, and 4, ban flavored e-cigarettes. So moved.
Thank you. Moved by Trustee DeGroot, seconded by Trustee Croft. Any conversation? Certainly seems comprehensive to me. Trustee Croft.
I just wanted to share one that is included in your motion that was news to me, and that is that you can buy vaping stuff online, and of course you can't buy cigarettes online, as best I know. So with a little Visa card that you buy at the drugstore and online access, you get the stuff shipped right to your door, and nobody's the wiser, right? So bringing vaping legislation in line with tobacco legislation is probably, it's a really foundational piece, and I think if people are in agreement, whenever we have the opportunity, we should share that.
Thank you. Further comments on the motion? Okay. Ready for the question. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. And a motion to receive the correspondence. Trustee DeGroot, Trustee Croft, all those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to item B, which is the Coastal Ferry Vision Forum invitation. And as much as I feel a little bit out of my depths around answering the questions that are proposed on the letter, it seems to me it's an important piece of our advocacy to be out there. And so if you're in agreement, I will attend this forum. Moved by Trustee DeGroot, seconded by Trustee Dolman. Any conversation? All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to new business, none. And moving to 17, question period. Great, this is the longest meeting we've ever had.
No, since we've been this board.
On this board, yes. Thank you very much, audience. We appreciate you being here. Okay, moving to item 18, adjournment. Moved by Trustee DeGroot, seconded by Trustee Dolman. All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.